Hello, nerds, and welcome to the 4NerdsCast. You're on with Happy Bandit,
Keelan,
the wife,
and Laura the Great.
And, crap, I just realized I don't have any opening topic to discuss. Well, okay, I'll say this. I found a lot of really good news stories for this week. So let's just jump straight into news. How about that?
For me.
IKEA has taken advertising in a whole new direction with its recent print ad for a crib. The ad, which appears in the Swedish magazine Amelia, invites women who think they might be pregnant to urinate on the paper to reveal a discounted price.
Gross. Oh my gosh.
It says, peeing on this ad may change your life at the top of the page. If you're expecting, you will get a surprise right here in the ad. Adweek reported that the agency behind the gimmick adapted pregnancy test technology to work on a magazine page.
So they're going to bring that peed on magazine page into the... Here you go.
I am so grossed out right now.
That's so gross.
And I clean up feces and urine at my job on the regular.
Okay, I just want to say, retail workers are constantly complaining about the corporate office.
This is why.
This is exactly that.
Why.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the bin where they keep these? They get turned in.
So, when this weekend we were at a bookstore, and one of the books that was on the shelf was a horror novel that was written.
I'm sorry, a what?
Horror.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a 50 Shades book.
Yeah, no. No. It's a scary book, scary story, written, and it's set in an IKEA type store. I have a feeling a woman bringing in one of these papers is probably the opening scene in this novel.
As a medical professional, I just want to remind people that hepatitis can be passed through urine.
It's sterile.
Can it?
It's not sterile. That's a lie.
It's sterile, and I like the flavor.
You can get Hep C in urine.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
They didn't teach me that in my bloodborne pathogens class.
So,
Because
this
it's not
whole
bloodborne,
thing-
honey. That's pea-borne.
It's bloodborne too. But yeah, all bodily fluids have trace amounts.
I'm sorry. Can we take a pause? Were you serious?
Yeah.
You're
I'm not talking about medical school. I'm talking about in safety training and different jobs I've had.
Oh, okay.
We had to take bloodborne pathogens.
pathogens.
I was like, what kind of crazy high school did you have?
No.
Same one your wife did.
Anybody who's got any kind of injury that has blood involved, you have to know what the precautions are to prevent from getting hepatitis and other bloodborne pathogens.
Yeah.
So
I would just like to point out, I did have a bit of a moment of panic when I was asking. I was afraid I was turning into Cousin Eddie. Are you serious, Clark? But
yeah. That's why medical professionals, we wear what we call standard precautions with every patient, with the gloves and everything. Yeah, because you nasty.
I have a good friend of mine
so
who's
nasty.
living with Hep C from needles. She used to work in a medical facility that she had to take out the medical waste, and she was poked by a needle and got it. And now she's having to deal with that their whole life. It's really a terrible way to live.
She should be able to sue her employer
Yeah.
for that. That is awful.
here's a thought exercise from Ask Reddit. Let's say you wake up suddenly in 1870. What job are you qualified to do?
Pretty much just anything manual labor. That's about it for me.
I can do my same job.
You can do it without a computer?
Yeah, I can do nursing without a computer. We just use it to track what we do.
Slide rule?
Yeah, I actually was like working in the medical field before electronic charts, where you had to do everything on paper. So I learned how to chart
Sounds
Paper.
paper.
Ever seen paper?
1870. What was happening in 1870? 1870 was
Civil War.
Was it?
Civil War
pre-Civil
did,
War or post-Civil
then
War?
engage. It was woman and woman.
We were-
man to
Okay,
man.
Google.
My wife and I were discussing the other day that
When was the Civil War?
my history education was almost non-existent
He moved a lot as a kid.
due to the schedule at which I moved around and when certain things got taught. I learned about Christopher Columbus coming to America, 3 different schools.
Oh my goodness.
I'm guessing you
You know
also
real well.
didn't get 7th grade Texas history
Ew.
like the rest of us Texas educated people did.
I took Oklahoma history as a sophomore. In Oklahoma, it's a required class for freshmen.
Oh my
So I was
goodness.
in the class with all of the freshmen. Here's a funny story from that class. The elementary school principal actually taught that class. This is how small this town was. And there was one of the kids in the class was, I forget exactly what the case was. He needed to turn something in, or he was being disrupted, and the teacher called him up. For whatever reason, on the way there, the desks were all kind of lined around the edge of the room, so the center of the room was wide open. And for whatever reason, he decided to do a cartwheel. And in the midst of doing a cartwheel, his can of snuff fell out of his jacket pocket. He picks it up and puts it back in. He goes, "It's empty. I collect those." and just the look on the teacher's face, it was just he confiscated it. But it
Like
was
you do.
yeah. It was a small school, and it wasn't a secret that sort of thing happened. Quite a bit, but
Small town in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
FYI, 61 to 65 was the Civil War.
That's what I thought. This is post-Civil War.
Post-Civil War.
This would have been during the basic, like the Western migration. People are going to California for the gold rush.
was this time referred to as the Reconstruction,
Yes.
or am I making that up?
No, it was it kind of just after the reconstruct. There's still some of that going on, but
It's just prior
It's
to the
kinda
gold rush.
just-
Wasn't it 76?
it's around the same time as the gold rush. This is when people are starting to migrate west.
69.
This is
69ers.
69.
So-
49.
49.
Oh, it is
Oh, it's
49.
I'm sorry.
49ers.
I just realized what I said. I
Minor
just want to
49ers.
point out that I am slightly distracted. I'm sorry. I said something stupid.
There's something with 76, though. What happened to 76?
Oh,
And that
you're
was
thinking of
probably the
1776.
That's
I
the
bet.
number of trombones in the big parade.
Oh.
76 trombones in the big parade. Anyway, this is going to be during the time of the Little House books, for example. This is during that time period. So the reason I'm going through this is because I'm trying to think of what's happening during this time. So to that end,
You're going to
would
be a mother with like 27 children. That's what you're going to be.
I'm Ma. I'm Ma Ingalls. Is who I'm
you're
qualified to be.
you're the school marm.
I have to
marm.
say,
No, I'm not the school marm. They're all single and old maids. I'm Ma Ingalls. That's who I am.
Yeah. I'm going to say I'm Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman because my level of education compared to the nurses of the day, I probably would be up there on doctor level.
so this is hard for me because even today I don't feel I have a lot of marketable skills, but that's just self-esteem talking.
You worked at a newspaper.
Yeah, that's
You could do
sort
that.
of
You would be a writer.
that's sort of where I landed. I think
And you
journalist.
can type, which is like unheard of back then, right?
Right.
Especially for a man.
I'd probably jam the typewriter as fast as I could type. Yeah, and I imagine the quality of writing doesn't need to be nearly as good, and so
No. Who's going to
So
read it?
the amount of lack of effort I generally gave would fit in just perfectly.
There's a lot of propaganda too back then. So
Yeah.
a lot of propaganda.
I can be a propaganda writer.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
How about Keelan? What would you be?
I would probably be a
1870.
ditch digger or working on the railroad or something.
He'd be doing
because-
some sort of manual labor.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Moonshiner.
Hey, you'd be a
Moonshiner.
moonshiner.
Moonshine.
Yeah.
Brewer.
I don't know. I don't know if that was the time in which alcohol was.
No, this is
No.
what it was in
It's
the 20s.
pre-prohibition.
Yeah, that was in the 20s.
So I can
20s.
build a brewing empire just to have it snuffed and
There you go.
and lose it all during the
Go work for Anheuser-Busch.
Or you build it up really big, and let's say
Open a speakeasy.
1915, sell it.
Well, you know how the big beer companies kept in business during
They did other
Prohibition.
things. They made-
they sold yeast.
yeah.
They
yeast
sold
from
yeast
baker's
to
yeast and-
bakers. A lot of the big ones, actually, Mrs. Baird's, when Mrs. Baird's got started, that's where they got most of their yeast was from beer makers that weren't making beer at the time. So
That way, Mrs. Baird's bread is so good.
Boozy bread.
boozy bread, baby. There you go.
1876 was a busy year for inventions. Mm-hmm. The first phone call was made.
Edison.
Alexander Graham Bell patented the telephone. Thomas Edison granted a patent for the autographic printing machine, whatever that is. Anyway, so I was thinking there was something going on in 76, but I don't know what I'm thinking. Maybe it's 1776.
Here's a news story that I think one of us here is going to really take to heart. And it's going to lead to a new segment on this show that will be debuting today. Robert Mielhammer, I guess. I don't know. So Bobby here is 51. He was out with 3 other hunters shortly before 5 p.m. when they noticed a flock of Canadian geese overhead. The group fired at the flock from a blind, striking one of the geese, and it plummeted into Bobby and knocked him unconscious.
So he shot the geese. It fell and hit himself on the head.
Well, it was one of his
other guys.
Yeah,
One of his buddies.
but yeah, he nearly died from a goose that fell out of the sky.
Geese are dangerous animals.
Here we go.
My husband hates deer and I hate geese. Have you ever been bitten by a goose?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it hurts.
Never been goosed.
And I know all of these things because my parents thought that getting geese for us as kids would be a great idea. We owned all sorts of farm animals in the middle of town.
To be fair, that's not unusual for this town.
Yeah. We did live less than a block away from a sheep farm that like the town had grown around and got grandfathered into stuff.
Still there too.
So yeah, it's still there, right across from my child's intermediate school.
Barbecue sheep.
Barbado, not barbecue. Barbecue
Although-
sheep would be good.
Barbecue sheep, barbecue mutton, heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Give me that.
So yeah, my parents got us geese, and it doesn't matter if you raise them from like being a little, gosling. They're mean, vicious little awful things, and they will attack you. And I hate geese so much. I thought I was going to get blinded by a stupid goose once. Like my eyelid got like cut open by the goose attacking me. And I was about like 12, and it was awful. I could not get away from the goose fast enough. So yeah, and I have since, as an adult, been attacked by geese. There's a flock of them that roam around the campus that I went to school at for college.
So, what were we talking about?
The goose
Oh.
that fell from the sky.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
But this is just a perfect example of our new game. Don't get me started. So now,
Don't get me started.
the way that this works is that you're given a topic and you've got a certain amount of time to just rant about this topic.
Oh boy,
Now,
this should be fun.
I knew mentioning geese.
He knew it was going to set me
her
off. Just like mentioning deer will set him off.
Right.
There are animal nemesises. Nemesi.
Nemesis.
The seas.
Nemesis.
So what I have found is a speech topic generator.
Great.
Oh boy.
And it's going to generate 5 topics. Let's make it 3 just for brevity. Whoever is going will pick one of the 3 and just go. Just rant. Whether you're making it up or not.
It'd be great.
So,
Oh boy.
All right.
who would like to go first? Okay. Well, I feel Laura has already.
Yeah. Well, I'm on a roll if we want to start with me. Like I'm
Okay.
already steamed up about geese.
Why not?
All right.
Go for it.
Here are the 3 topics to choose from: oil prices, sports medicine, or Rolex watches.
I'm going to
And-
go with
Go.
sports medicine. You're not a real doctor. You're not a nurse. You're a guy with a first aid kit on the sideline, and you're super excited about sprained ankles and non-real injuries. I'm just going to say, you keep your broken bone, meathead doctor mentality over there in the corner where you belong. You install hardware into people's bones for a business. It's not a real doctoral profession. You're basically a handyman that stitches people up.
So
That was way harsh.
We have a rebuttal.
That is not really how I feel about sports medicine. I took all the stereotypes
if you're
and put it
listening,
together.
She didn't mean it.
I didn't mean it, Harrison. You are
niece's
awesome
boyfriend
at what you do.
is in sports medicine.
Well, he's a athletic trainer in training.
Trainer in training.
Trainer in training.
TIT.
Yeah,
Wait.
sports medicine
Hold on.
is a legit specialty that people go into to treat those sort of like rotator cuff injuries and stuff. Mm-hmm. It's very much needed. I decided to take all of the stereotypes and
roll them into one.
Roll them into an angry rant.
All right.
That I didn't mean at all.
Oh boy, I can tell by your face this is gonna be good.
We have donkeys.
Okay.
Exuberance. And fair game.
Fair game. Everybody says, fair game. Fair game. You know what? Why is it fair game? Nothing is fair. There's nothing unfair. There's no such thing as a fair game in this world. Nothing is fair. Not a thing is fair. There's no fair game. You play a game, you either win or you lose. That's not fair. That's not fair. And the way that they use the phrasing fair game, it's like, I found something on the ground. Fair game. You know what? That $100 is not yours. That belongs to some single mom who dropped it as she was taking her wallet out to pay for her kids' groceries. Go find her and give it back to her, you lum. What is a lum anyway? That was a weird word.
You lum?
But you lum. But the phrase just needs to go. There's no such thing as fair game. It is a non-phrase. That's all I got. That's what
very
I have to
nice
say about
rant.
that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well done.
Well, honey, I would like to hear your rant.
Okay. My topics to choose from are green tea, employment applications, and sprinklers. And sprinklers, they think they're all high and mighty, going around, getting water everywhere. But really, all it looks like is they're doing is they're spitting all over the grass. And some of them, they live in the ground. Those guys, they are way full of themselves because they can just pop up whenever they feel like it and be like, hey, I'm here. And I don't care that you're there. You're wet now. What you gonna do about it? Nothing. Nothing. Because you know what? You know what wet is? Not dry. So if you get even a little wet, you're wet. You're either wet or you're not. And I just hit you, and now you're wet.
Yeah. I especially hate when they hit the windows while you're sleeping.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like you're in Nam.
Yeah.
I assume. Thank you all for your service.
See, you just got some insight into our relationship. When one of us rants about something, the other one does nothing to calm the other one down. Instead, we give each other more points to just keep going with it. We jump on the rant bandwagon with the other person and we're like, yeah, and what about this?
I'm sorry, the rant wagon.
Rant wagon.
Rant wagon.
Right. Yeah.
And what about this? But what about this? But what about this?
I hate their stupid faces. Oh yeah, their faces are so dumb.
Their faces are so stupid.
That's how the two of us roll because we're united together against the rest of the world. It's great.